Alpha King Draven Ashfell had never once believed in love. He believed in borders, in bloodlines, and in peace bought with the right signature on the right piece of paper. That was why, on a cold morning in early spring, he stood before his entire court and placed a silver ring on the hand of Lady Seraphine Voss, daughter of a family his own people had fought for 3 generations. The wedding was beautiful, the alliance it created was necessary, and the man at the center of it felt nothing at all. Loshter. Draven ruled the Crimson Pack, the largest and strongest wolf territory in the region. His father had spent his whole life trying to end the war with the Voss family, and had died before he could finish the job. Draven finished it instead, in the only way that seemed to work among wolves who trusted nothing but strength and contracts. He married the enemy's daughter. 2 packs became one uneasy peace. Seraphine was clever enough to know exactly what the marriage was. On their wedding night, she sat across from him in his private chambers, still in her wedding dress, and said plainly, "You do not love me, and I do not love you. Let us at least be honest about that much." Draven had almost respected her for saying it out loud. "Honesty," he said, "is more than most marriages in this court manage. It should have been a simple arrangement after that. 2 rulers, sharing a title, sharing a throne, sharing nothing else." But 3 weeks after the wedding, everything Draven thought he understood about his own life was shaken apart in the healing halls of his own castle. A border skirmish along the northern edge of Crimson territory had left many wolves wounded, and as part of an old medical treaty, healers from the northern wolves were sent to help. Draven walked through the healing halls that evening only to check on his injured soldiers, nothing more. He had no reason to expect that his life would change with a single breath of air. Then he smelled her. It was not a scent like any other. It struck him low in the chest, a pull so strong his knees nearly buckled. His wolf, usually silent and obedient, surged forward inside him with a force he had never felt before. Every instinct in his body turned toward one direction, toward one person, and Draven understood in that instant exactly what was happening to him. He had found his true mate. And he was already a married man. Her name was Wren Calloway. She was not a noble, not a warrior, not anyone of political importance. She was simply a healer, quiet and steady, kneeling beside a wounded soldier with her sleeves pushed up and her hands moving with quick, practiced care. She did not even notice him at first. She was too busy saving a life to notice that a king had just walked into the room and forgotten how to breathe. When she finally looked up and saw him standing there, she did not bow the way most people did. She simply studied him for a moment, the way she might study a patient, and said, "You're blocking the light, Your Majesty." Draven, who commanded armies and silenced councils with a single look, found himself stepping aside without a word. He told himself it meant nothing. He told himself the pull would fade, but over the following days, it only grew stronger. Wherever Wren was in the castle, Draven's wolf seemed to know it instantly, tugging at him like a rope pulled taut. He caught himself finding excuses to walk past the healing halls. He caught himself listening for her voice in crowded rooms. He hated how easily she undid the careful control he had spent his whole life building. He said nothing to her about what he was. A true mate bond was sacred among wolves, but it was also, in his case, deeply inconvenient. Acting on it would mean betraying the wife he had just married for peace. Ignoring it would mean a lifetime of emptiness that no throne, no victory, no duty could ever fill. Draven chose duty. He always chose duty. He kept his distance from Wren, as much as his position allowed, speaking to her only when necessary, keeping his voice cool and formal, even as his wolf howled in protest beneath his skin. Wren, for her part, seemed unaware of the storm she had caused. She treated him the way she treated everyone, with plain honesty and a complete lack of fear, which somehow made it worse. She was not trying to win him. She simply existed, brave and unguarded, and that was enough to undo him completely. Seraphine noticed before anyone else did. She was not a foolish woman, and she had grown up watching wolves long enough to recognize the signs of a mate bond even in a man trying desperately to hide it. One evening, she found Draven standing alone on the castle balcony, staring toward the northern border, as though he could see through stone and distance to find the person he was thinking of. "She is your true mate," Seraphine said, not as a question. Draven did not deny it. There was no point lying to a woman as sharp as Seraphine. It changes nothing, he said. I made a promise to you, to both our packs. I intend to keep it. Seraphine studied him for a long moment, and something in her expression softened, though not with pity. We built this marriage on honesty, Draven. Let us not abandon that now. I have never loved you, and you have never loved me. We both know it. Perhaps it is time we stopped pretending otherwise, for both our sakes. It was the beginning of a conversation. Neither of them finished that night, but the seed had been planted. Seraphine was not interested in clinging to a marriage that gave her nothing but a crown and a lonely bed. She wanted something real for her own life, just as Draven, whether he admitted it or not, wanted something real for his. Weeks passed in careful tension. Draven buried himself in his duties, trying to smother the bond with work, with meetings, with anything that kept his mind away from Wren Calloway. It never fully worked. His wolf remained restless, aching, aware of her presence like a heartbeat he could not silence. Then word arrived that changed everything. A rogue alliance, formed from packs displaced by the old wars, had begun moving against the northern territories, hoping to seize weakened land, while the region was still recovering from years of conflict. The northern wolves, Wren's own people, were in danger. Wren left the Crimson Court immediately, her calm demeanor cracking for the first time since Draven had known her. As she prepared to depart, she finally revealed a truth she had kept hidden during her entire stay. She was not simply a healer from the northern wolves. She was the last living descendant of the northern ruling line, the rightful heir to a crown she had never wanted and had spent years quietly avoiding. I never asked for this, she admitted to Draven in the courtyard, her bag already packed, her eyes tired but determined. I became a healer because I wanted to help people, not rule them, but my people need someone now, and I will not let them face this alone. Draven felt something shift inside his chest, a mixture of fear for her safety and fierce, undeniable pride. You will not face it alone, he said. I am coming with you. He told himself, and later told his advisors, that it was a matter of treaty obligations, that the old medical alliance obligated the Crimson Pack to offer aid in return. It was a convenient excuse. The truth was simpler and far more dangerous to admit. He could not stay behind while his true mate walked into danger. Seraphine, when informed of his decision, only nodded. Go, she said. I will hold the Crimson Court steady while you are gone. It seems, my king, that fate has plans for you that have nothing to do with the promise we made each other. The journey north was hard and fast, Draven's finest warriors moving alongside Wren's small group of healers and soldiers. When they arrived, the northern territories were already under threat, their borders tested by scouts from the Rogue Alliance, their people frightened and uncertain who would lead them through the coming storm. Wren stepped into her role with a steadiness that surprised even herself. She organized her people, coordinated with Draven's warriors, and refused to hide behind anyone despite the danger closing in around her. Draven watched her transform from a quiet healer into a leader worthy of a crown, and his admiration for her grew alongside the ache of the bond he had tried so hard to ignore. The battle, when it finally came, was fierce. The Rogue Alliance struck at dawn, hoping to catch the northern territories unprepared. They found instead a defense far stronger than expected. Crimson warriors, fighting beside northern wolves, united under two leaders who refused to let fear decide the outcome. Draven fought at Wren's side through the worst of it, his wolf finally free to act on the instinct it had been forced to suppress for so long, protecting the one person it had chosen above all others. When a group of enemy wolves broke through the front line and moved toward Wren directly, Draven placed himself between her and the danger without a single moment of hesitation, driving them back with a strength born from something far deeper than duty. By the time the sun rose fully over the battlefield, the Rogue Alliance had been broken and scattered, their attempt to seize northern land a failure. The cost had been high, but the northern territories stood, and so did the two people who had led that stand together. In the quiet aftermath, surrounded by exhausted warriors and grateful villagers, Draven finally allowed himself to say what he had held back for so long. He took Wren's hand, ignoring the eyes of everyone around them, and spoke plainly. the way she always spoke to him. "You are my true mate," he said. "I have known it since the moment I first smelled you in that healing hall. I tried to walk away from it because I believed duty demanded that of me. I was wrong. Duty does not demand that I abandon the one thing that could make my life whole. It demands that I fight for what matters, and nothing matters more than you." Ren's eyes filled with tears, though she did not look away. "I felt it too," she admitted. "I told myself it was foolish to hope for something with a married king. I told myself to be sensible. But I have never wanted to be sensible where you are concerned." Behind them, word arrived from the Crimson Court. Seraphine, true to her word, had already begun renegotiating the old treaty, releasing herself and Draven from the marriage that had never been more than a political shield. In its place, she proposed something new, an alliance built not on forced unions, but on mutual respect and shared goals, between packs who no longer needed to trap their leaders in loveless bonds to keep the peace. It was, in many ways, a braver choice than the marriage had ever been, and it freed everyone involved to build something honest. With the treaty restructured, and the threat to the north defeated, Draven stood before both the Crimson and Northern Wolves, and claimed Ren as his true mate for all to witness. There was no hesitation in his voice, no shadow of the careful, guarded king he had once been. For the first time in his life, he spoke not as a ruler bound by obligation, but as a man who had finally found the one thing worth choosing for himself. Ren, in turn, accepted her birthright fully. She was crowned Queen of the Northern Wolves, not as someone rescued or given a title through marriage, but as a leader who had proven herself in the hardest moment her people had faced. She ruled beside Draven as an equal, two territories bound together not by treaties written in fear, but by genuine partnership and respect, earned through shared struggle. In the years that followed, the story of the Alpha King who married for power, only to find his true mate wearing no crown at all, became one the Northern Wolves told their children. It was not simply a story about fate or bonds or destiny. It was a story about choosing courage over comfort, honesty over convenience, and love over the easy path of duty alone. Seraphine, too, found her own peace, ruling her people with newfound freedom, and eventually finding a partnership of her own, one built without the weight of an old war pressing down on it. And so the Crimson King and the Northern Queen ruled side by side, their bond stronger than any treaty ever written, proof that even a marriage built for power could give way, in the end, to something far more lasting.